First time I'm hearing living population is going down. Daily population is increasing. First time. I don't think we ever hear that anywhere else in the whole country. So I think this challenge will be there. We will have to go. And but I'm catching on what you said, the green city. Then it must say we shall be the greenest city in the world. We can be fairly green today. But you can be only if you go vertical, you can be green. The two will go together. You know, I have an office in narrow place. I stand up and look through the window. I see car patches. I don't see a single tree. Like every day I stand there, I think, if it was going vertical like in Singapore or Chicago, I'd have a lot of trees. People will be walking in the morning. Delhi will also become a healthy city in Chairman and Finance. We haven't raised that issue. I would raise that issue. Not by going to hospitals, but going for a walk. The walk should not be away from your house. Walking should become a culture of Delhi. If you do that, it'll be a healthier city, a more beautiful city, and greener city. Yes, I think you could make Delhi a solar city. It won't meet your requirement of industry. So I think we have got to think. Personally, my view is, the specialists are sitting here, I think we should create energy where the energy sources. You should put money in transmission rather than making power plants everywhere and making muck of the climate. I certainly would be very seriously concerned on the garbage which you said, but incineration of garbage, I'm very concerned. Certainly not every colony that you mentioned would not be incinerator to produce energy or whatever. I think they, like Tokyo, will have to buy land outside somewhere, spend money to take the garbage there, so that the muck, the fumes, the dust does not come back to the city. Then it remains clean.
May I just interrupt?
Yeah.
It's out of question that incineration is to be allowed.
That's fine.
This is not a pyrolytic process. Smokeless, odorless disposal.
No, fine.
No, I
I'm
just
seeing
wanted to
that
say-
in Delhi just now today.
I just want to give an example. All the garbage which Trivandrum city, just an example, used to be dumped in a village outside. The last 2 years, all those villages have said, your garbage in Trivandrum, please do dump it inside Trivandrum. We want it green and clean.
I'm sure, I think these are
That
the
will come
challenges.
everywhere. Nobody, you have to clean it up yourself.
These are the challenges. I'm saying we should take the challenge and say these are the challenges. I think you have mentioned a lot of things. Water will remain an issue. On the art side that you mentioned, I think it's very useful fun. Maybe it should become the cultural center of the country. If not for the globe, at least for us. Entertainment should somehow be taught. Can people be participating in entertainment in the evening? So can we create walking places in the city rather than everybody going by car? There are examples in the world. So those kind of things, I'll stop here. But all that I wish to say is, we must take the challenge, what you are saying in your letter, and write down 2030 day. So they invite people who can see 2030 not too far away, and ask them, what's your vision of 2030? What's your vision of 2050? That's where from we should start. If we start from there, then you have a vision. Once you have a vision, you will find the solutions. That's my major point for the facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuk sir. That reminds me, that in Chhattisgarh, in the new Raigad, they have constituted a park where they have built what you call as Hamare Shriman. All those people who had struggled in the days of central province till the combined Madhya Pradesh and now Chhattisgarh. And they have, since they have a tribal thing that address all those who took part in that formation of the state, I think that if Nehru Park would have some sort of a cultural corner which could depict what Delhi has been through.
Leave some green area for walking around.
See, I just flagged the area, flagged the issue.
Go a little away from it. The gold market, what used to have the chicken and fish and stuff, that market is available for us making it into a museum. Now the temptation I'm trying to fight is the moment I make it into a museum, it becomes the National Museum or it becomes the Delhi Museum, then New Delhi is lost. So it will be a New Delhi centric museum, nothing prior to 1905. And we would like to, since the space is also restricted, so we will be making it into a 3D walkthrough, simulation, all that stuff, such as if you go to the Heineken factory, you are part of the brewing process, so you are taken and you are put in that bottle. So we will be able to, for example, take you in a simulation exercise of you are part of 1920s Delhi or you are part of the 1940s Delhi. Your picture is taken and some character goes around that. So all those fun things is what we have planned. So let's see. I think that is what
Yeah, well, sir.
Sir, we in PFC have been contributing to the idea of sustainable growth at national level, not only at the level of Delhi. Recent example that recently we have carved out a separate subsidiary in the form of PFC Green Energy Limited to fund exclusively all types of renewable energy projects, be it biomass, wind, solar, small hydro, all sort of hydro projects we have been funding. But we have to deal with the current problem of the power sector in Delhi. For the sustainable growth of the Delhi, power sector has to play a crucial role to supply uninterrupted and quality power to the residents of Delhi. And of course at an affordable cost. That's the idea which we should have. And apart from dealing with the demand side issues by addressing the issue of issues through energy efficiency and the energy conservation, we have to look toward the supply side, also supply chain management that also has to be. And for any utility, for the, say for example, the Delhi Discom, to enable them to supply this power, the financial health of the Discoms, soundness of the health of those Discoms is of paramount importance. Delhi power sector has undergone several changes during the past 10 to 12 years. DBV was unbundled in 2002 with the Delhi privatized distribution. It was the only state after state of Odisha which was there. And it has reduced the AT&C losses from 50% to 20% level currently. Significantly, load shedding was reduced and the DRC adopted the multi-year tariff. And of course, the tariff has also been increased by absolute 70% during last 10 years and at a 5% CAGR rate. But sir, in spite of that, the cost of supply, cost of power purchase has gone so high that the gap between the average revenue realization and the average cost of supply has become negative. The cost of supply has become tremendously much more as compared to this revenue realized, and which has led to the negative gaps in terms of the utilities, and utilities have not been able to. With that, what has happened that it has led to the accumulation of large regulatory assets, unfunded assets, which utilities have to, they have been accumulated because of they have not been able to recover through the tariff, and these regulators have not been allowing this through the tariff. With this large accumulated assets, their Discoms have been facing the cash flow problem. They have not been able to pay to their suppliers, the GENCOs, they have not been able to pay. And as a result of which, these steep tariff hikes are required to liquidate those regulatory assets. If that is resorted to, it will lead to a lot of tariff drop to the consumers, and it will have a lot of socio-political issues. Recently, DERC has allowed 8% surcharge towards this in the tariff. But unfortunately, this 8% surcharge is not sufficient to meet even the carrying cost of these regulatory assets. As per 2012, March 2012, these regulatory assets are of the order of 11,500 crore. Till March 12, after that 12-13 and 13-14, those 2 years are to be added after that. And in addition to there is a carrying cost of these regulatory assets, if these are to be liquidated in a period of say 8 years or 10 years, whatever it is. But even then, because if we try to liquidate in a much shorter period, the tariff shock would be enormous. It would be very, very difficult for the residents of Delhi to be bear with such type of tariff shocks. Recently, this NTPC had filed a case on the DISCOM, which we all had read in the newspaper, and in that case, of course, PFC and REC has tried to help the DISCOMs and by sanction of 1,000 crore. But this is only a time gap arrangement, this just like meeting the firefighting thing. The bigger issue remains how these regulatory assets are to be liquidated and how they can be extinguished. So for this, basic main issue is that the regulators, they have to identify and freeze those regulatory assets. These are required to be done, and there this liquidation plan that needs to be finalized upfront, because no way these regulatory assets can be funded by we can expect the DISCOM can do that. Only lenders, we as a lender, we are aware of our responsibility. The lenders have to chip in, lenders have to step into fund these. But in order to lenders to enable them to fund these regulatory assets, certain some on the part of regulators, it is required. These are to be identified. These are to be totally calculated, identified, frozen at that particular point, and beyond that, no further negative gap in the revenue realization and cost of supply. That should not be allowed. Whatever is the marginal cost increase, that should be passed on into the tariff in terms of PPAC, the power purchase adjustment cost. That needs to be realized upfront apart from this. And in order to give comfort to the lenders, this separate revenue stream in the tariff, which has to be charged by the consumer, that need to be identified, which is to be directly paid off to the lenders who have been funding these regulatory assets. Otherwise, lenders will never find it comfortable to deal with those, to fund those regulatory assets. These are the things which I think that.
If I could understand briefly, what you said is that what rate you are charging? What rate of interest you are charging on?
Rate at 12.5%, 13%.
12.5%. Now the regulator is giving them a surcharge of 8.5%, which means it leaves a gap of almost 4%. And there is a carrying cost of 11% interest on the SBI. 15% is a carrying cost, and 12% you are paying to them.
They are paying more to services. But the issue is that the surcharge is not enough to recover.
That's the main issue. Main issue that.
So how is the principle?
What is the rate of surcharge that breaks him?
Anyway, I think.
It's a bigger issue.
Let's come back to the issue. I am more concerned about civic services, municipal sanitation.
सभी कुछ तो बिजली से चलता है।
सर बिजली तो चलती रहेगी, आप फिक्र मत करिए। बिजली कैसे चलेगी?
Thank you very much for the assurance. Thank you very much.
वो ऐसा पेंडिंग में बिजली चलती है।
क्या डॉक्टर अरविंद कुछ पानी के बारे में बताएं?
Good afternoon, honorable colleague, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I appreciate the presentation of NDMC. NDMC area is an ideal or smart part of the city, and there are two types of pipelines. So I think my input is far beyond actually, because NDMC area is almost ideal. So as I think water is a key to sustainable development, because the topic is sustainable development and it's the lifeblood of the green economy. Water, energy and food are also interlinked and interdependent. Securing them is central to alleviating poverty and to creating climate resilient and robust green economy. Another question is the population growth. Expanding cities and accelerating economic activities, increasing the demand for energy and food, and create unsustainable pressure on the water resources. Some statistics, according to broad estimates, by the 2030, even talking about 2030 and 50, humanity demands for water could outstrip supply by as much as 40%. This would place water, energy and food security at risk, increase public health, costs, constraints, economic development, and leads to social and geopolitical tensions and cause lasting environmental damage. The entire strategy for sustained development, growth of Delhi entails water as its essential component. The current population of Delhi and its expanded suburb, as per 2011 census, is 22.7 million, which is likely to be doubled by 2050. The burgeoning population alongside an expansion of infrastructure is asserting additional pressure on limited water sources. Current model of urban planning and water management are exceedingly providing insufficient from the perspective of cost effectiveness, technical performance, social equality and environmental sustainability. Hence a paradigm shift is required at the system-wide level, which addresses trade-off among water users, agriculture, industry, household and ecosystem. Even since this consultation started, a lot of good things, inputs are, challenges are actually taken by the different stakeholders and the experts. So we have to have some conceptual kind of thing, a nexus approach between water and energy for sustainable solution for this habitat and this environment. Water availability in water is inadequate to meet the growing demand of the population of Delhi. In view of the limited water resources, catering to additional demand by water by 2050 will be almost a Herculean task. The problem gets further compounded by the fact that more than 40% water is wasted owing to leakage in the water supplying pipes. Besides the bulk of the water, rainwater remain untapped, and more than the half of the 3.6 million cubic meters of sewage product every day which remain untreated adds to the contamination of water sources, especially of Yamuna River, for want of adequate wastewater treatment mechanism. In order to realize the 2050 vision of the water supply for Delhi, long-term water management policy is to be devised, which should make emphasis on water conservation, recycling of wastewater for reuse, installation of a small and efficient water treatment plant at the strategic point of the drains, social auditing of the water, capacity building of the stakeholders. This is an important thing. We have to add the human capital as a human capital first to the outreach program and other things. This should be also covered in water policy. Rainwater harvesting is the most effective means to generate extra water. The rich areas of riverbed area of Yamuna provide ideal site for storing rainwater, especially during monsoon season. The water, energy, food is also part of it. Nexus approach should form the cornerstone of sustainable growth of Delhi with input from India Water Foundation. The government of Meghalaya had recently launched a green mission which focuses on enhancing sustainable green cover, adoption of green technology, building up a green movement, green mission. And even if we talk about the Delhi, can be launched on the similar lines with energy and water nexus approach being at the core. The India Water Foundation identifies the roadblocks to sustainable development and help overcome them. It helps the people to make the change from short-term gains to long-lasting services that could transform their lives and futures. As a lot of other speakers told about the short-term mechanism to the transform to the long-term policy preferences. The current trajectory based on the sectoral or silo approach have failed to attain the goal of sustainable development in the region for want of capacity building of stakeholder cooperation, coordination between the actor and the sector. The important thing in Delhi, as I feel, that lot of department in dealing with the water and energy, and like the NDMC, other departments, and they are fighting for their legs actually, and they don't have a cohesion or cooperation on certain things. So there should be coordination and integrated action between energy and water, aim to do away with the silo thinking between the three development areas. Thus, we strongly feel that adoption of Nexus approach is essential to tackle in Delhi water and energy related problem in long-term perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we are overrunning the time, so the 2 5-minute short, one Mr. Rastogi and one from the TCP. Quick. Yeah, Mr. Rastogi.
Because really listening at UDC and so many views about that thing. But let me communicate something very good, wonderful, rather I should say. Tomorrow we are shifting to a new office, and that office building is unique and unique different. I think NMDC people, they must have gone over there. It accommodates around 600 people over there. First thing. Second feature, that 70% of the light we get directly, so we don't have to use this light. Third beautiful part is that all the solar panels are there on the top. So whatever electricity we need around 930 kilowatt of electricity, that we generate ourselves, give it to the grid, and then so it's a net zero energy building. If somebody wants to visit our building, most welcome over there, because there are features which you should appreciate. And it's like all the red and blue 5-star, we have already got all that. Water, minimum water to use, and whatever comes here, that is treated over there and used on campus only. So there is no discharge at all. And now we do 40% saving in energy consumption to use of chilled beam system of air conditioning. So that's another, because the cooling by convection current. So 40% we save by that thing. And there was an article, but later on we will discuss about it. But so many good features are there, one should. And this is the first building in India which generates power on site. We generate power over there, we use ourselves. So we don't pay, or we pay zero bill only. So it never happens, so one should think about these things seriously. Fortunately, I should tell about the place where I stay, like Khelgaon. All glasses are around during the daytime, we don't use any electricity. It's a multi-story building type or double-story type of thing, so we stay upstairs. Up to 2 o'clock, okay, we can use cooler or AC, whatever want. But after 2 o'clock, you don't need any AC or cooler. That's the beauty of that Khelgaon. There is, I think, 10 hectare area covered by the forest cover is there, big forest cover. So wonderful place, because as much as you live with the nature, it's always wonderful. My bill doesn't go beyond, during summer it is high, say around 1500 rupees, otherwise below 920 rupees only. And that's remarkable. Because we should learn many things, whatever is happening today. Or there are living examples. So like this kind of building, one should visit, one should see features that how much electricity we are using and why we have reduced it, because natural. Whatever natural it is, and it is made in such a way, eastward direction, that all the electricity you can't use, just you can use daylight. 10 to 5 or 9 to 5, you can very well. Water you can reduce, air conditioning you can reduce 40%, you can save here. And whatever you are generating, you can use that much. So such a thing, or there are success stories or good kind of things that one should learn, and I think NMDC should plan also these things in the future building, where you can make use of 75% of the daylight. So basically you don't need any bulbs or anything. Now, when we were constructing this building also the CPWD, they have used renewable materials like bamboo jute or composite materials, even flash they have used, calcium silicate ceiling tiles are there. So whatever material we don't use it, because we wanted to set up an example for others. So we have used all that material. Now this building is also earthquake resistant. And flash bricks, I already told you that we have used in the building. It's a beautiful, architecture that you will see. I can't show you, but on the building itself, there is so much of greenery that you can see, you can enjoy. I wish I could have shown that into the. You should visit our building so that you can get those ideas and you can use in future. So that's a kind of, because nowadays there are so many words they are used. Some people say progressive and working cities, some people say safe, secure and resilient cities, some say future cities, some say healthy cities, some want green cities, and then some say vibrant cities we want, and some say inclusive and human cities, and then some smart cities, and some integrated and self-contained cities. Integrated means wherever you have an office, you should have a residential colony also over there. You should have a sport complex over there, or whatever you need for a small mini city, you should have all the things. Plus, concept is changing because instead of going to office, you do all your laptop and all that thing or mobile, so that you don't have to go over there. And when you don't have to go over there, which means you don't have to use transport here. Transport we are not using, so you are not creating any air pollution also. So there are so many benefits. One should think seriously how careful we can be regarding air pollution reduction through not using transportation. If you can have house nearby one day, you can go by walk and come. That's it here. And until you go for some for some trip or something, then you can go. That's not a bonding kind of thing. So I think about all the steps. First thing, how to reduce air pollution, how to reduce water consumption, how to reduce energy conservation and energy efficiency. These are two different things. Conservation you can conserve, efficiency you can if there is these bulbs with some other kind of light, you can efficient. Same amount of light, but using different sources. Then think about the solid waste, think about all the aspects. And you can do that thing. It's not possible, you can't say nowadays. And I have just set example of my office as well as my residence also. That's how much money I save by doing all this kind of thing. And that architecture is created by CWD in 1984, Asian Games Village. It's not a today's story. We were conscious at that time also. So whenever you are planning something, think in that way.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Rastogi, but when your Khelgaon was built, the vertical movement was not there, and it had a very, very, what you call as a lavish utilization of land. Can we hear something from TCPO?
Greeting to eminent gathering over here. Myself, P.K. Duria, the town planner from TCPO, Ministry of Urban Development. And I was just highlighting to another point. The city we see on the structure itself, there is a merge of lot of activities over here. You see, the expanse we get is a physical form in city, all are tied with it. And here, to make it sustainable and energy efficient, what at present we are having measured inhabitants or citizens we are having. Now we can rebuild them in structurally what housing they are presently having. If it happens to be that 2000 unauthorized crore age and lot of expanse of slums, etc. The present is structurally, it looks like the city is somewhere hasn't been come in terms with giving some average decent facilities or so. one of first task will be to even solve this present logjam of housing short or even a quality housing shortage. This is it. And by 2030, if we aim to even come over and give them, considering even the present economic power status of India, even we solve this thing seemingly solvable. That how come 2,000 colonies are there, where I think so it could be 25 to 35 lakh population might be staying in a compromised so to say housing and living condition. This is what a task we need to address by 2030. And of course, with it, the existence of slum, how slum is being developed, utilize their labor, services and everything. But they haven't been put up in dangerously living conditions they have been having. All our policy and other thing need to very concentratedly address how we can provide even them a affordable or something, even in a peripheral or some sort of a fringe areas even, that they can work and stick collect with the city. City needs them also. And unless we sort out or plan out our city in such a fashion that we don't generate, try to give the sufficient supply of housing or a developed areas, we might miss the goal of sustainability and that might get into. And just I mention another point is that though the city is Delhi, but its regional connect is palpable in all activities and other thing. The solution also lies in how to plan out the growth of the city and total very measured, so to say, the settlement and their the commercial and the economy and other things finding out from Delhi and interacting with it. Need to plan it in a more design fashion. I think so we have to utilize a better planning technology itself that we predict them, allocate them, and construct and make it sustainable, which will lead to, I think so, definitely energy-wise sustainable, also at the end inclusive, and that is socially sustainable goal also we will have to achieve.
Yeah.
The 2 point I conclude. I think.
May I request Dr. Chaturvedi to kindly sum up the whole gist?
Sir, if you permit, I want to speak for a minute, sir.
Sure, please.
Yeah, Anant Kumar, Chief Engineer in PDMC, looking after the road sector. Sir, everybody was speaking for different ideas. Sir, there are 3 basic issues which were like बिजली सड़क पानी. तो बिजली सक्सेना जी ने एश्योर कर दी कि बिजली मिलती रहेगी दिल्ली को, सड़क में देख लूंगा. अब बात आती है पानी की. सर, पानी कहाँ से आएगा? सर, प्रश्न ये है कि 10% हम पानी जो है वो पीने के काम में लाते हैं, 70% एग्रीकल्चर में लगता है, 20% इंडस्ट्री में लग जाता है. सर, उस 70% जो एग्रीकल्चर में लगता है उसको रोकने के लिए कोई कार्रवाई हमारे देश में शायद नहीं की जाती. मैं वेस्टर्न यूपी से आता हूँ सर, मैं देखता हूँ कि क्रॉप पैटर्न मेरा इतना खराब है, जिस एरिया में गन्ना नहीं होना चाहिए उसमें जम के गन्ना लगाया जाता है. मैं कभी अपने दादाजी से पूछता था कि गन्ना लगाने के लिए क्या करना है, उन्होंने कहा खोद लगाओ पानी दो, खोद लगाओ पानी दो. अगर रुके तो गन्ना गया. दैट इज द पॉइंट सर. वी आर नॉट चेंजिंग आवर क्रॉप पैटर्न, वी आर नॉट चेंजिंग आवर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी पॉलिसी बिकॉज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इज फ्री फॉर इरिगेशन. स्थिति ये है सर कि जो आपका ट्यूबवेल लगा है वो किसान उस पर स्टार्टर पे मोटर को बांध के आ जाता है कि जैसी बिजली आएगी अपने आप चल जाएगा. सो वी आर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग सर टू कंजर्व द 70% ऑफ द वाटर. इफ वी सेव इन 10% ऑफ दैट, in my view, whole problem of the water, drinking water problem of the cities can be solved. So if you are not concentrating on the basic points sir, because the city are growing. किसी ने कहा सर अमेरिका में कोलंबस के बाद जो गया वो लौट के नहीं आया. तो दिल्ली में स्थिति ये है सर कि जो दिल्ली में आता है वो लौट के नहीं जाता. जैसे अमेरिका में कोलंबस के बाद कोई लौट के नहीं आता, दिल्ली से भी कोई लौट के नहीं जाता. इट हैज टू ग्रो. सो इट हैज टू ग्रो एंड यू नीड द वाटर because electricity somehow is coming. So how you are going to conserve the water? What are we going to make the crop pattern change? Because the water is coming from the Himalayas, and all that basin above is using your water, too much water for the agriculture, where it can be changed, or you can have better
means of the irrigation. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Chaturvedi?
Thank you, Dr. Garg. This was a wonderful experience in the afternoon with NDMC focusing on the issue of energy supply. Normally we leave it for the higher bodies to discuss, but finding out solutions for a smaller area in the NDMC limits in itself makes a very important study. Although we have been in all the studies that we did in a number of years for decades, we have been saying if Delhi you have to talk about the NCR region and then ultimately decide the energy supply, not only the power supply but energy for transport, for housing, for construction and all. But within that, identifying areas like the NDMC limits, there are well-defined regulatory mechanisms available. This is wonderful, and I think if it can be further worked on, it will become a great micro-level case study. But then we have to really, while working on this study, we need to think what can be done for the overall city and the adjoining areas combined with it. Some of the issues that we need to really focus is not only the energy security for the well-to-do people, but the energy security of the common man. And if we are going from the public transport, walkability has been observed to be the major issue. Even if we are taking the metro, the last mile connectivity is a very important issue. So walkways, that is what has to be ultimately, that will also save us energy, but the walkways have to be made an integral part. That is as much important as bringing in the most highly efficient construction systems or the smart buildings, the smart cities. Both have to go side by side. And we have to plan. This is the current position for worldwide that you have to plan for the year 2050. Every city in the world is now, and every region is planning for 2050. And then seeing how the building blocks can be added on. And then we make the mid-course corrections and achieve our targets in between. So our target has to be really placed in sync with the global thinking that is for the 2050 that's currently what is being thought of. That needs to be done. Financing will always remain an important issue, even when we are talking of the energy efficiency improvements. These are low-hanging fruits, but they are certainly not coming free of cost. Most of the energy efficiency systems they require financing, and the financing has to be provided in sufficient numbers. Even if you compare between 3-star and 5-star ACs, the cost difference, although everyone says can be recovered, but the moment you try to work it out, the cost difference really doesn't work out in a manner that you can recover in 3 years or 4 years. So one has to really be doing a social service if you go in for a 5-star AC. But all these things do cost, but they are all required. And let's really find out how we can move on to the public transport system, how we can go in for more efficient energy building with passive architecture and active architecture. Because all these systems have to be studied and continuously studied. And therefore, I said the study that we did in 2010, which was globally accepted, many followed the template, but Government of Delhi has used it in all planning process. That's already 4 years back. The huge study needs to be launched, and maybe Dr. Garg can, under his dynamic leadership, we can see that such studies are taken, and support can certainly TFC and REC and others can look into it, and NDMC itself can look into the funding part of it. But whatever you spend, let me tell you, you will get the return at least 100 times more on such studies which will give you the future path. And my congratulations to Dr. Garg for really planning out with Mr. Srivastava on such a topic. It's a very unique approach and very innovative. And I think we should really work in future, and I can assure you whatever help you need from me, I'll be willing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chaturvedi. Now we come to the concluding part of it, and there is a message from Mr. Mahesh Giri, one of the Parliament. He started with the voting ceremony. He just sent a long message. Thank you, Safi, for inviting me. Congratulations. I appreciate the governing council, and he said that I very strongly believe in the 21st century environment and economics go hand in hand. They are driving force behind each other, and self-balanced solutions will yield excellent results. It's a very fortunate thing that he himself was involved in the, what you call as in this research on solar lights. And say it could be used on mass scale in slums and rural areas, and intend to reach out to unconventional technologies for the mass use in Delhi. He invites all with their detailed specifications and ideas. Please email them to me. You are most welcome. Me too. Awareness projects, industry education projects are very important too. We strongly believe that effective implementation of all laws. I appreciate this sentence very much. We strongly believe effective implementation of all laws is the most unique idea to reduce pollution. And it believes that it's important that we do not solve today's problems and issues which are being faced, but also about the change of population resources we will have at the hand in 2030 and 2050 and start figuring out solutions for them from this very moment right now. The best synergy of experience will usher in long-term planning, and at the same time the influence of the youth will show results. Then alone, Delhi will take shape of a world-class city. Thank you, Mahesh. This is the message, and I hope that what we have thought and we have talked, the elected representatives are on the same wavelength. He is one of them. We wanted to have 3 of them, but there is a whole reschedule. So maybe when we have the next round, in the next round we have with the industry, and the third round we have with the industry and the policy makers and the business makers. And then perhaps we will be able to crystallize and reach somewhere and sensitize the system to what is 2030 and what is 2050. Because 18Q from our past 30 years, we find that if we are visualizing something 30 years down the line, we have to start acting now. Thinking that technology has improved, things have improved, governance will improve. 30 years may get reduced to 20 years.
For the NDFC.
Very quick, few shots.
Just 2 minutes. I will not take much of time. Sir, if it is possible, practically possible, that NDMC can be converted into the corporate entity. I think that will give us.
Forget those things. Those are the things which require a change in the constitutions. Let us think of something which is doable.
Okay, so secondly, you can utilize the funds available with the corporate entities in the form of CSR. That will be request.
That is for each entity to take action.
Yes.
Each chairman is sensible enough and responsible enough to realize what and where he has to do, what lies ahead. And this is what we learned from 1990 to 2010. And this is the way ahead. Radio by